Previously on the Herd.
Jacksonville. And I know Urban Meyer, and I like him, but the offensive line is awful. The defensive line is awful. They don't have a single defensive star. Miles Jack is good, not elite. So this is a long rebuild.
A new day in the Herd starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
You guys can laugh at me all you want.
This is the Herd.
Oh, yeah.
With Colin Cowherd.
I'm setting the tone.
Best show on radio.
This is the Herd.
Broadcasting live from Los Angeles.
Fire.
With
Clemson Sports Talk
Here we go.
has
Hour
come
two
back
for Wednesday, and we're packed.
to
Live in LA, it's the Herd.
Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle. Once again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond. Listening to us on incredible radio stations.
Labor
like Fox
intensive.
Sports Radio 1400.
Got a lot of dinners with
around
NFL
the world
people.
on
I've
the
been working
iHeartRadio
in between
application.
lovely
Download it
cocktails
today.
with my
It is free.
beautiful wife.
Of course,
It'll be a
the
labor intensive
Clemson
3 days,
Sports
3.5
Talk
days in Chicago.
website
Chicago
also free. Now, what I am trying to figure out, and those of you listening to the show are thinking,
Clemson 3 days,
Sports
3.5
Talk.
days in Chicago.
what in the world is going on? Yeah, me too. Because I'm hearing Colin Cowherd in my headset. So I don't know. Let me see if it's actually playing Colin Cowherd on the radio too. If it is, I may just go to sleep, take a nap, hook up with Britt Cianci tomorrow. Yeah, so I've got Colin Cowherd rocking and rolling for me. Those of you listening now online, I'm assuming, at least I don't have to talk. It did stop on Twitter. Okay. Yeah, I know iHeart's gone on Twitter. Or at least, yeah, but Cowherd's still streaming on Fox Sports Radio. All right, so it's still. All right. Yeah, I think we got it. Okay. I think I did it. Celebrate good times. Come on. I don't know what was happening. If you do hear Cowherd, though, the rest of the way, somebody holler at your boy. If you hear Colin Cowherd, holler. No offense to Colin, but I'm trying to do a show here, Colin, and you come at me. I got the new studio. See, that's what happened. You know, Colin Cowherd heard about how this show's going, taking off, and he was like, no. I got to cut in on this action. All right. So I think we got it all squared away now. We'll rock and roll and say a little silent prayer that everything goes swimmingly the rest of the way with Britt Cianci joining us coming up here in just a little bit. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. 803-450-0086. That's the way you can be a part of the program. And again, our website is ClemsonSportsTalk.com. That's Clemson news, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But if you are watching right now, hit the subscribe button. Our YouTube channel is blowing up, it's safe to say. It has been an incredible couple of weeks with what we've had going on over there on YouTube. All right, so here's the thing. I still have small concerns about Cowherd in the background, but I'm going to roll with it and just pretend that it's not going to happen again. But that's throwing me off. But you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and it's going great. It has been a lot of fun. It's part of the reason we decided to enhance the backdrop. We got more enhancements coming to the show that shakes the Southland. Again, Britt Cianci joining us here in just a little bit. But the news today, you look at the title of the program. It's the Ferrari edition. The Ferrari edition of the show. And I got to tell you, if you have a Ferrari, and you only got one, a little lesson from your old Uncle Swanee here. You don't go parking said Ferrari in the middle of a downtown area where it might get dented or dinged or have a door open on it. Like, you're not taking a Ferrari to the grocery store and trying to squeeze it in right beside the rack where they put up the carts. You're not trying to take a Ferrari and run it out to maybe a college campus and park it in the commuter lot. You don't do that when you have a Ferrari. You don't take a Ferrari and drive it out to some sort of like demolition derby, even if you're not participating with your Ferrari, but put it in a parking lot at a demolition derby where it might get banged up or dented or destroyed for that matter. Well, so much for Uncle Swanee's sage advice. I've said it multiple times. I said it probably 2, 3, maybe 4 times yesterday. To the Jacksonville Jaguars, my message is simple. Do not start Big Trev the Giant Killer in 2021. Unless you want to have him potentially killed by some Giants. Then, by all means, run him out there, Urban. Look, this should not be a young man who you experiment with. And I get it. He's the number 1 overall draft pick. All of the money, all of the pomp and circumstance coming out of high school, coming out of college, heading into the NFL. I mean, everything that we've talked about with Trevor Lawrence since day one. Since day one. Everything we've talked about with Trevor Lawrence since day one has been that he's ready for the NFL. And he is. There's no question in my mind. Trevor Lawrence is ready for the NFL like a Ferrari is ready for a car race. But the problem is the rest of the team around him, what we used to call jalopies. Lots of jalopies. And unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence can't come out there and say it. He said, quote, "We got a great group." Gardner Minshew's been awesome, treating me really well. We've had a lot of conversations. He's been that guy I've been able to learn from, and CJ and Jake and all those guys. We're all together, you know. We're all on the same team. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important. Lawrence talked about getting better, got a bunch of guys putting in work. But you watch Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night. If you had a chance to tune in and watch it, then you saw what I saw, which is a whole lot of ugly on offense. And I don't think it's going to get any better this year, and I don't see a reason to run your Ferrari out there. I just don't. And I'm going to be honest, I think fans, even the most ardent supporters of the Jacksonville Jaguars, would be understanding if you just came out and said, "Listen, folks, we know this guy is the future. This guy is the franchise. And we're going to invest in that franchise by protecting him for a season as much as possible." Now, look, if Gardner Minshew got hurt and you had to play him, fine. But I cannot see how this is a good scenario for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I know it's not a good scenario for Trevor Lawrence based on what we've seen so far. Now, unless there's a magic elixir that happens to be drizzled into the water in Jacksonville, and these guys all of a sudden turn it around and they start looking sharp before the season kicks off, then yeah, I'll sit in the chair, eat my words all day, every day. But there is no chance, there's not a snowball's chance in a microwave that Trevor Lawrence makes it through this season unscathed, let alone knocked out of a game, given what I've seen from that offense in the preseason. There's a line in, I think, Christmas Vacation, right at the beginning, where Clark and Ellen are driving the kids down the hall, or driving the kids down the road, And Ellen looks at Clark and says, I don't want to spend our holidays dead. That would seem to be the appropriate phrase if you're Trevor Lawrence and you're sitting in the office with Urban Meyer right now. Coach, I'd love to play, but I don't want to spend the holidays dead. Urban Meyer said, quote, we wanted him to earn it as we do with every position. We felt he has. After Monday night's performance, it was good. Obviously not great. We didn't run the ball very well. I kind of, in my mind, had that deadline of the second preseason game. We kind of had to have somebody ready to play in week 3. So Lawrence is the guy. Would you make him the guy? I mean, I kind of asked the question yesterday. They went with it. Nick's in the penalty box, and once again, Nick's in the house, sharing the show, trying to grow the program, trying to bring more people in. And anytime you try to expand this program without my express written consent, Nick, you get punished. You get sent into the penalty box. Nick, do you have it in writing for me expressly? I didn't think so. As a matter of fact, verbally, I've told you day after day after day, stop sharing the show, Nick. And anybody else is out there trying to share this program, just cut it out. Cut it out. Driving me crazy. Appreciate it, Nick. Thanks for sharing the program, man. Linda's in the house. She's been known to share the show too. She has been known to do it. Oh, she shared it with 62,000 of her Clemson Sports Talk friends. Glad to have more and more people jumping in, chiming in. I saw some folks over on YouTube yesterday saying, man, how they like the show. We're really trying to grow it, putting together these segments for you. If you haven't seen that, do it and go hit subscribe over there as well. My goal, let's see, we're closing in on like 400 subscribers. Let's get this bad boy, with your help, let's get it to 1,000 before the college football season. That's an unrealistic expectation. Let's get it to 1,000 before game 6. How about that? Halfway through. Can we get to 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel again before the 6th game of the college football campaign? Now, if you're wondering about quarterbacks in their first year in the NFL, when you're talking about the number 1 overall selection, there was a little note in the end of ESPN's article on Trevor Lawrence that said none of the past 13 quarterbacks selected number 1 have won their first NFL start. You got to go all the way back to 2002 when David Carr was drafted by the Texans, and ultimately they won his first game at quarterback. Now, a lot of people out there were critical of Urban Meyer for not naming Trevor Lawrence the starter sooner. But again, to me, listen, first off, and Trevor knows this, just because you're the number 1 pick doesn't mean you're the anointed one that gets a chance to be the guy. For that matter, Trevor Lawrence wasn't the guy the minute he rolled into Clemson. Now, you and I and everybody else listening to this show knows how I feel about that. I truly think that was probably the last time that, quote, seniority was the reason that maybe Clemson left a player out there on the gridiron out of the gates. Like and it's hard. And I get why it was hard for Dabo Swinney back then. I understand why it was hard for Dabo Swinney back then. Because, for one thing, Kelly Bryant had just led you in the previous season into the college football playoff as the number 1 seed. Like, it's not as if Deshaun Watson returned for his senior season, took Clemson into the college football playoff. Clemson, doesn't matter if they won or lost to Alabama or whatever at that point. Just say they lost 24-6 like they actually did. And then the following year, it was Kelly Bryant getting his first go at it, and he didn't have any other experience, and Trevor Lawrence rolls in. Then maybe at that point, Lawrence, even as the underclassman, maybe at that point it's a little bit easier to look at Kelly Bryant and go, you know, Kelly, we appreciate what you've done for the program, but this new guy, listen up, Woody. Buzz Lightyear's pretty doggone cool. Sorry, buddy. There's a new toy in town. And so with that being said, for all the parents out there going, yeah, I get that reference, Swanee. With that being said, I do think about the fact that there was not necessarily bad baggage, but positive baggage that Kelly Bryant brought with him into that camp, that first season with Trevor Lawrence on campus. And that was that he had just taken a Clemson team minus Deshaun Watson to being the number one team, or the number one ranked team in the college football playoff the previous year. That's hard to be, that's like Woody. I don't think Woody the Cowboy had a last name. That's like Woody the Cowboy having some grand award, some new upgrade, and then all of a sudden Buzz Lightyear shows up. Maybe they don't make the switch. Maybe you're still interested in keeping the old guy around. So again, where we sit today is not necessarily a similar situation to that, but Lawrence had to go earn it. And I will give Urban Meyer credit on that front. He didn't just hand it to him. Lawrence earned it at Clemson. Lawrence earned it now in the NFL. But I don't think I want him to have it. Much as I want to tune in. As a matter of fact, I can make an argument that with the news that Travis Etienne got hurt yesterday, when that news came out, essentially half of the reason you, me, and a bunch of other people are going to tune in to watch the Jacksonville Jaguars is already out for the season. So, in my eyes, just go ahead and have the clean sweep. Not only do you get the benefit of not having Lawrence in your system, you get the benefit of not having ETN in your system this year, which means essentially well, not essentially, but absolutely, your first two picks of the NFL draft aren't available to help you out. And the bad part of this is, and I don't think this is such a crazy concept, the bad part of this, in my opinion, is that Trevor Lawrence is likely, I would say likely, maybe highly likely, to get hurt and be out. So I get it. You want him to play. I want to watch him play, but not at the expense of an injury, not at the expense of his career. You bang up your shoulder bad enough, something like that. I would prefer to see Trevor Lawrence sit this season, Jacksonville stink it up, as I said yesterday, and get him some help. Get him some help. (803-450-0086), 803-450-0086. Edward's all in on the program, so much so that he even shared the show. Edward, I bet your elementary school teachers are not surprised that you would do such a thing. Oh, Miss Smith in 4th grade. Yep, Swanee. She said, sit down. I never could. Edward shared the program. Thank you, Edward. We got Esley also hanging out with us. We'll get to Esley's comments coming up. Actually, I'll put it up real quick because we got a lengthy segment with Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews coming up. Esley said, if that offensive line doesn't get better, Trevor's chances of getting hurt is a real possibility. Right. And you said that before I said it. Boom goes the dynamite. Esley, you're all over it. Like, you can hardly protect them with the offensive line. The safest place for Trevor Lawrence this season is standing by Urban Meyer. And then next year, let's go get some offensive linemen and let's get after it. Not too difficult, in my opinion. All right, we've actually got Power 5 college football coming up this weekend, and our buddy Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews, joins us on Wednesday afternoons. So we've got Brett coming up here on the show that shakes the Southland. Again, you're locked in to Clemson Sports Talk. Make sure you stay with us and say a silent prayer that we don't get cow herd when we come back.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Good afternoon. Here's what's slowing up traffic on a Wednesday. A couple of accidents on Two Notch Road, Two Notch at Kelly Mill Road, and also Two Notch Road at O'Neill Court. Also accidents, Gregg Street at Forest Drive, and a traffic light defect, 378 at Wiseberry Road. From the 103.5 FM WVOC Traffic Center, I'm Gary Mills with Columbia's most dependable traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Take the shortcut to your next great hire. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, Instant Match immediately delivers a list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hi, I'm Pat Struby, and I host the show Save Your Retirement each Saturday here on WVOC. One concern my clients have is what to do about Medicare. In my experience, what most people want is a trusted advisor who can show them their Medicare options. My friend Tim Hanberry understands the ins and outs of Medicare and is the author of a book called Medicare Blueprint. Tim walks you through the entire process, from helping you sign up with Medicare, picking the right plan, and then making sure you have your ID cards. He has done this for my clients, and I recommend him to you. So if it's your time for Medicare, call us at 803-9RETIRE and set up a time to speak with him. He'll listen to your individual circumstances and then give you the kind of straightforward advice you're looking for. Make this easy on yourself. Go to MedicareBlueprint.com or call 803-9RETIRE to set up an appointment.
Tim Hanberry is an independent agent. Pat Struby is not compensated by Tim. Neither Pat nor Tim are affiliated with Medicare, the U.S. government, or any governmental agency.
Men, this summer, don't sit on the sidelines. Get in the game. Live your life spontaneously and don't struggle with erectile dysfunction any longer. Peak Performance for Men can help you today, naturally. No pumps, painful needles, or dangerous pills. Peak Performance has an 85% success rate, helping thousands of men achieve their erections naturally and spontaneously. It is a pain-free alternative to surgery. Linear compression therapy. Stop suffering. Pick up the phone and call now. 803-302-8181. That's 803-302-8181. Peak Performance for Men can help you today. They are professional, discreet, and have an all-male staff. Go to peakperformanceformen.com or call 803-302-8181. That's 803-302-8181. Peak Performance for Men. Live your best summer.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Where to be found? Batteries?
Dead.
Great. Emergency supply kits?
Not packed.
No. What about blankets?
We have an old towel.
Good enough. Cell phones?
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
And what about food?
Nope.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated, yeah?
The library. Aunt Joan's house.
The bus stop.
Great. And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Sounds like we don't have a plan. Who's up for mini golf?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at ClemsonSportsTalk.com.
It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on a Wednesday afternoon. Our good buddy Brett Cianci, a Pick Six Previews, joins us. And Brett, man, it's interesting to have you on because you cover all of college football. And yesterday in the news, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, all put together a deal to stabilize the volatility in college football. We haven't heard really exactly all of the ins and the outs of what's going to take place between these three leagues, but do you think this is a seismic shift at this point for the sport that we all love?
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on, Lawton. It's finally game week, and we'll talk about those in a second. But as it relates to this big alliance, I don't think it's a game changer, to be honest. I don't know really what changes. They said that the three commissioners sat around and the quote was that we looked each other in the eye and we shook on it. Well, I mean, I'm sure that the Oklahoma and Texas ADs did the same with the Big 12 conference. I mean, in this day of age, it's sad, but I don't think that really goes that far. So we'll see. I mean, it's a good gesture. I think that it's good to, have the right intentions of slowing this thing down, because it could spiral out of control quickly. So at face value, sure, it looks fine. To the cynical out there, they might think, what does that really do, if anything? But the optimistic look is maybe, bring some stability and some good non-conference games coming up.
Of the three leagues, who gets the most benefit? I had Jared Denny on from scoopduck.com yesterday, and he's an Oregon site, obviously. I feel like the Pac-12 is the biggest winner in all of this if these leagues do end up coming together in some way, shape, or form with scheduling, just because of start times and the ability for say a Southern Cal to schedule up a Penn State more frequently, something like that. But I mean, which league do you think, if you had to pick one, gets the best of this at this point?
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree. It's the Pac-12, because when you look at this, the conference realignment, it seems that they are one of the ones that is usually on the chopping block, at least perception-wise. That might not be true, but in the same sense that those remaining Big 12 teams are potentially scrambling, looking for new places, it seemed that you heard a lot of those Pac-12 names come up that they might be looking out elsewhere. So if all else fails, at least they have stability there within their league. Non-conference-wise, yeah, that's a plus. It gives you more Eastern time zone games. And when you play at noon, you get your highlights streamed all day on all the broadcasts, on all the halftime shows. So for the Pac-12 sake, they never get seen. Now, I'm a weird guy here on the East Coast. I'm up till 2 a.m. watching them. But for the most part, the East Coast doesn't see the Pac-12. So timing-wise, that helps. And I saw this other comment, too, that it was a negative move by the Pac-12 because they're going to take a lot of extra losses by the ACC. Well, I looked it up. The Pac-12 is 21-3 against the ACC this decade, so they dominate the ACC. So they're not scared of playing some East Coast teams, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you know what? If you ask me to tab the games this decade between these two leagues, I don't know, man. I don't know what they would be at this point outside of maybe the occasional bowl matchups. But I think that there was a time in the sport that we both love where it was more normal to see marquee matchups because, like, for example, Notre Dame wasn't a part of or an indirect part of the ACC. So, they had games like against, nationally, they would play Penn State on a regular, Michigan State. They might have been mixed in a Miami here or there. And so I think that's some of what we feel like we've lost to a degree with the way conferences are now versus when we had more and more independence. And this would maybe open up the opportunity to see some of those games. But I'll say this, where I thought this might affect Notre Dame at first, it seems perfect because these are the three leagues, the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12, that they play a lot of games against anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's right in Notre Dame's wheelhouse. They have the 5-game alignment with the ACC. Their in-state games there with Indiana, Purdue occasionally play them. Navy they have, that's a non-conference anyway, but then the Michigan teams they have a history with. USC and Stanford are annual. So yeah, that makes sense for them. And yeah, I think thinking back to the old generation of football, like you mentioned, I think one difference back then was you had smaller leagues and they were regionally based. So you had a 7-team or an 8-team league. You played your opponents, and then you had 4 or 5 non-conference games to fill it up with. And you could afford to do some big road games and marquee matchups and still get your cupcakes and what you're essentially cash grabs for ticket sales in the local economy. So there was more flexibility. And when you look at the Pac-12 now and the Big Ten, 9 conference games out of 12, I mean, that doesn't give you any room at all in those last 3 games. So I'm interested to see if they limit it to 8 games, open up that extra slot, and then pair it with one of these Power 5 conferences they've joined this alliance with. So, it's exciting. I wonder how long it'll be till we see the effects of this. They said they're going to honor their contracts that already exist in terms of scheduling. So this could be long down the road.
Again, pick6previews.com is the website. Brett Ciancia joined us, does a tremendous job there with his coverage of college football. Final theme before we get into this weekend's matchups, Brett, and not necessarily this weekend's matchups, but even maybe looking ahead just a little bit to the following week, because we don't have much on the docket, but there is a docket. Final thing for you off of this weekend's matchups is this. LSU came out yesterday on Tuesday and announced that you were going to have a COVID negative test or show proof of vaccination to get into your stadium. Now, months ago, I kind of was asking people, is COVID-19 going to be an issue? And it seemed to be across the board. I don't think so. But it seems like now, especially like if Oregon and Oregon State come out and make a ruling like that, like they did, some people are like, well, that's how they do it on the West Coast. But this is right in the heart of the SEC. Are we going to see a shift over the next week or two, in your opinion, towards more and more stadiums requiring vaccination and or negative PCR tests from COVID-19 to get into the arena?
Well, I don't really know how to forecast that. Who knows? But the one thing that I'm interested about that no one's really talking about is operationally and logistically, how's this going to go down? I mean, it takes long to get in through the turnstiles as it stands nowadays with security and just scanning your ticket, that kind of stuff. Imagine now having to show some paperwork or get it verified, whether you're vaccinated or have the negative test. I just don't know the logistics of that. It's going to take hours and hours to get in the stadium. So I wonder too, and I didn't read into it, maybe it's out there, but I wonder if they said, stagger the times you arrive, certain sections come in first. I don't know how they're going to do it. It just seems like a nightmare logistically before you even look at any of the other, impacts.
Yeah. I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be easy. That's for sure. Again, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six previews with us here on a Wednesday afternoon. Tell you what, Brett, we're going to put you on hold. I know I typically have him in one of those 20-minute blocks, but we're going to rock and roll with him for a couple of segments here, maybe 3 segments here in hour number 1 of the program. Again, his website, pick6previews.com. We come back with more with Brett Ciancia right after this.
Let radio advertising keep your business top of mind with customers all summer long. Visit iHeartAdBuilder.com to get your business on the radio quickly and easily. You can even make your own radio ad. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. Sign up today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Hello, I'm Mackenzie with Exact Data. I'm excited to share how our team can help your business with its customer acquisition goals. Exact Data has been helping businesses of all sizes find new customers for over 20 years. With over 4,000 unique filters, you're sure to find the most targeted emails, postal addresses, and phone numbers fit for your business. Want a list of new homeowners in your area or looking to reach self-employed business owners? Maybe you're looking for people passionate about charitable causes or a list of medical professionals in your area. We can help. At Exact Data, we have the perfect list to help you grow your business. For pricing, text LIST to 606-MY-LEADS. Remember, text LIST to 606-695-3237, which spells 606-MY-LEADS, and we'll reply with the information you need to get leads for your business. Again, text LIST to 606-MY-LEADS, and you'll be well on your way to reaching your sales goals.
Now the forecast from the Red Shirt Guys Roofing, theredshirtguys.com.
Clear and warm tonight, lows low 70s. Tomorrow, sunny, once again hot, highs low 90s. And we will see a few scattered storms late in the day. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. Dreams are amazing, but wake up in time to have Taco Bell's toasted breakfast burritos with eggs, cheese, and bacon. Toasted breakfast burritos, available at a participating Taco Bell location near you during breakfast hours only, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor? Yes, I am.
Yay!
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Sharing has never meant as much as it does now. We share the things we love most in life for the world to see. But what if we could actually do more with our sharing than just collect likes? What if this sharing could be used to make a difference? Now there's a place where we can put all that sharing to good use. The National MS Society is asking people to make a difference and share what they love with someone else who loves it too. Whether it's surfing, dancing, or whatever is important to you, we've created a place that'll help you get your experience out to the world. If you have a story, share it. If you have a solution, share that too. Join us at wearestrongerthanms.org, because together, we are stronger.
Facts
with a sprinkle of opinion.
The Rundown with Rob, weekdays at 3 on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Back at it on a Wednesday afternoon. Brett Ciancia of Pick Six Previews joins the program. Again, you and I don't know how it's going to work, but I know a lot of stadiums and a lot of venues have gone to these digital tickets. I mean, I wonder if there's a way you can scan in if you're vaccinated and your ticket just works when you show up. Like, I mean, I don't know, but to make this change right before the season seems incredibly difficult to me. But it happened at LSU, and that I think is the real story. Like, that's a place where I'm not saying it wasn't going to happen, but I mean, that is one of the big venues in all of college football there at Tiger Stadium. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Now, this weekend, 1 o'clock on Fox, kickoff of the college football season as Power 5 football gets underway. Nebraska taking on Illinois on the road in Champaign. And I know, man, you probably want to crack open the champagne, Brett, when it comes down to being able to watch some CFB this weekend. Tell us what you know about these two teams as they head into the opening matchup of the college football campaign.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's almost like a holiday for me on the calendar because, I hunker down for 7 months writing my book every year from January till July. And once it's on newsstands, once it's published, I still do a ton of radio, a ton of podcasts. I think I did around 100 spots this year, some TV on ACC Network. So that was throughout the preseason. But when we finally get to kickoff, it's such a relief. But and it's the best time of year. I mean, everyone's optimistic about their teams. Everyone's undefeated. They're all important games in September. Non-conference is back. So yeah, I'm really excited just to watch some actual football, especially after such a drama-filled offseason with stuff that you may like, stuff you might not like. You might like all of it. You might hate all of it. The NIL, the conference realignment, the Texas-Oklahoma, the transfer portal. So yeah, it's safe to say I'm just really excited for kickoff and to be talking X's and O's again. And we're treated with a little appetizer here in week 0. It's a Big Ten West matchup. You have it's important to both sides, really. With Illinois, with Brett Bielema, it's his debut coming back to the Big Ten West after a very successful stint at Wisconsin and maybe a not so successful stint down in Arkansas. But here he is. He's back in the Big Ten West. He knows that division. He has the formula down. It's a power run attack. And that really fits with the personnel that he inherits. It's a veteran offensive line, a deep stable of running backs. So they're going to try and control the clock and the line of scrimmage. Now, on the other side, it's a must-win. And it's rare to get a must-win in a season opener. But the heat is high on Scott Frost right now out in Nebraska. It's his 4th season. Off the field, they're under NCAA investigations. And on the field, it's been 3 straight losing seasons, no bowls. And that's pretty much just unacceptable for a blue blood program like Nebraska. So the pressure's on there big time. They have to win this one.
Yeah, before we get back to Nebraska, I do want to ask you about Bielema because I am intrigued by his entry back into the Big Ten. And I thought he'd have more success, I'll be honest with you, at Arkansas. But, there's something about the way that league plays the game still that, like you said, and the team, Illinois sort of fits maybe that mold. But do you expect him to be able to have some success there? I mean, is Bielema good enough as a head coach to make Illinois close to what Wisconsin once was in that league, which I think he won, 3 conference championships or something like that at his time there? I mean, that's not easy to do, and he managed to pull that off at Wisconsin.
Yeah, so I'm not going to forecast a Wisconsin rise. I think it's a little bit above Illinois' ceiling, but I think he can make them a consistent, 5, 6, 7 win program. I mean, usually in the bowls, usually in bowl discussion, that kind of thing, and playing teams tough. That formula is certainly there. And, he has that brash attitude and persona. Whether you like him or not, he's got a persona. And I think that's going to excite the fan base a bit and excite that state because their last hire, Lovie Smith, when he was hired 5 years ago, I and everyone else thought that he was going to revamp the in-state recruiting and really lock down Illinois talent because of his namesake there as a Chicago Bears head coach and all that. But he actually whiffed terribly in recruiting. And it was the first recruiting class I've ever seen where the home state team didn't sign an in-state recruit. It was like 25 prospects, none from Illinois. So long story short, I think that Bielema is going to improve the recruiting a bit. He's going to be a physically sound team on both sides of the ball. But defensively is a question right now. We don't know what they're going to bring. They kept it very close to the vest. I call coaches, check into press conferences and practice clippings, and Illinois has been very secret this cycle. So we'll see what they come out with. It's Ryan Walters, the former Missouri coordinator, and he came up and they said that he spent 8 weeks just devising a whole new scheme. So it's a complete unknown. In terms of can he rise to Wisconsin caliber? I don't think so, but it can't get worse. I think he's going to improve that program.
Never got a Rose Bowl at Wisconsin, but back in the league that gives you an opportunity is Brett Bielema at Illinois. We'll see what he does in week 1 again, opening up against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now, the other thing, I think I said Nebraska. I meant at Illinois, but they'll take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now, as for Scott Frost, you brought it up because wasn't Scott Frost didn't it feel like when they hired him that it was the home run hire perhaps of the offseason that year after what he did at UCF? And now it hadn't been great. Look, I don't know if we give everybody a pass for the COVID-19 season and what that ended up being, but Nebraska was one of those schools out there fighting in the Big Ten saying, hey, we want to play. We want to play. We know how much, Brett, we know how much the sport of college football means to the Cornhusker faithful. I mean, where is their patience level when you talk to the folks in that area just with this program and what they've got to do in 2021?
Yeah, well, that's a very proud fan base and program, of course. I think it was 40-something straight years where they had fewer than 3 losses. But since 2002, it's been more than 4 losses every single year, 4 or more. Wow. So they've really been in a funk for 2 decades, but it's been really bad the last 3 years specifically because it's been 3 years without a bowl, 3 years losing seasons in a row. Then you have this off-the-field drama. And I don't think that really you get a pass there for 2020 and all that stuff because the product on the field was a mirror image of what it was in 18 and 19. It was sloppy play on offense, turnovers, penalties, just self-destructive. And I'm an optimist. I see that they have flashes of brilliance for a quarter or even a half, but they can't complete full games. It's just it's very interesting to watch. So, we'll see what he can do here in year 4. I think the lines are getting stronger. That was another issue that he inherited a pretty weak roster. They ignored the strength and conditioning program under the Mike Riley era or the Mike Riley staff. So that took time. It brings me back to his opening press conference when he was asked, are you going to adjust your offense to the Big Ten? And his response was, no, the Big Ten is going to adjust to our offense. And I think that looks silly right now, 3 years in. So we'll see if he tweaks it up a little bit. And he's got to get back to bowl season, I think.
No, that's a great point. Again, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews, the website, the preseason magazine. Go check that out during the break. It is a wonderful, wonderful read. Just some unbelievable stuff he's put together. And, man, to do it digitally is really, really awesome. All right, tell you what, we're going to hold Brett over one more segment here on the show that shakes the Southland on a Wednesday afternoon. We'll rock and roll with one of the best in the business, Brett Ciancia, right after this.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
Hi, my name's Tim Forehand. I'm a deputy sheriff, and my job keeping me in shape is important. I've tried other products to get my weight down, but nothing has worked like Android 400. In just 3 months, I've dropped 51 pounds, down from 230 to 179. Plus, the weight's come off in the stomach area. I've gone from a snug 36-inch waist to a 32-inch waist, which I was in high school. I highly recommend the Android 400 to all my friends.
Guys, are you frustrated because no matter how hard you try, it seems impossible to lose stubborn belly fat? Then discover why thousands of men each month rely on Andro 400. Lose belly fat, gain energy and confidence, and feel great about yourself. Andro 400, the safe, effective, and inexpensive way to boost your testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435.
I'm Tamara Pridgett.
And I'm Adrienne Herbert. And we're co-hosts of Sweat the Details, a collaboration from Under Armour and iHeartRadio.
It's a brand new podcast by women, for women, here to shake up the conversation about women in sport and fitness.
iHeartRadio is #1 for podcasts, but don't take our word for it. Find Sweat the Details on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Type 2 diabetes is a serious chronic health threat in America. It affects tens of millions of people. Many people who have the disease don't know it. Diabetes can cause health problems such as heart disease, strokes, amputations, and blindness. Talk to your doctor, get screened if you're at risk, and learn how to avoid becoming one of the millions of new cases of diabetes each year. You can help prevent type 2 diabetes. A message from CDC and HHS.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Final segment here in hour number 1. Brett Ciancia is still on the line with us. And Brett, I got to tell you, listen, the stat you just dropped about the number of losses that they've had every season, that since 2002, for a year at a minimum, that's an absurd number, Brett. And that's something that a lot of people don't know. I mean, I knew that Nebraska had fallen off of what they once were, especially when I was in college. I mean, I was in college in the 90s. I mean, they were a powerhouse under Tom Osborne. 94, 95, and 94, 95, and 97, whatever years they ended up bringing home the championships. But I'll say this, man, to hear that, it really kind of sends shivers down my spine, because I remember what it was like to be sort of a Clemson guy who had seen this program be so great in the 1980s, winning a national title, but then they were just fall apart at some point in the season. That's a stunning revelation. I think our listeners today are greater for hearing it. But, I mean, how surprising is that for you? This is a program with 5 national titles. I mean, how surprising is it to see them where they've been?
Well, yeah, for sure. And aside from the 3 years out of 4 titles in the 90s, 94, 95, 97, it was still 2 decades prior to that it was just consistently excellent football. I think it's 25 years Tom Osborne was the head coach, and no season went more than 3 losses. So I think they were all 9 wins or more. So, and most were 10 or 11, as you mentioned. So We're not just talking like, oh, they were a 5-year dynasty. I mean, you're talking about generations. I mean, grandfathers and fathers and everyone telling you what it was like. And now these kids now, or people, in the 20s or 30s are like, wait, that team was a dynasty? Because they've never been in the national spotlight really since 2001 when they lost to Miami in the BCS title game. Here's another one for your listeners. Nebraska hasn't won a conference title since 1999. And you're talking about, I think it's like 20 or 30 some programs have done that since. So it's just shocking. And, I think it's deeper than just, a bad hire here or there. I think it's just generationally, a lot of the advantages they used to have been neutralized. Stuff like national TV. They were the only game on for 30 years. And obviously that's been negated. Strength and conditioning. They were the first program with a weight training program, Husker Power, back in the 70s and 80s. Now, obviously that's commonplace. And, even the walk-on program, they used to sign 100-something walk-ons, work, 5 platoons deep, and finally grind out a starting 11. But now with roster caps and Prop 48 and all this academic qualifiers, so basically it's a different ball game, and they're stuck in a talent drain out there in the Midwest, the 500-mile radius. There's no talent out there comparable to the Southeast or the LA or South, West Coast. So it's a really different ball game for them, and they're struggling.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't know when Larry the Cable Guy became famous, but I know he's a big Nebraska guy. I got to put it on Larry. Whenever Larry started, Nebraska football went down. You heard it here first on Clemson Sports Talk. Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Preview. Head over to his website right now. Put your hands on that preseason magazine. It is never too late to get involved in the 2021 college football campaign. And again, there are multiple games this weekend, Brett, but the final one, I guess, that involves a Power 5 team is that Hawaii and UCLA matchup, 3:30 on ESPN. The UCLA Bruins, I still, for whatever reason, every time I'm listening, when I get a chance to listen to Sirius XM and, I think about what UCLA maybe once was, I just kind of wonder, will they ever be able to compete at a high level? The Pac-12, we've already kind of discussed where it is. What do you see out of the Bruins in the 2021 campaign?
Yeah, well, we just talked Scott Frost, who was considered the big win of that coaching carousel. The other big win of that carousel was supposed to be Chip Kelly. And here he is also in his 4th season. It's been 3 losing years and no bowls. So there have been similar situations. I think the difference is there's not much heat out in UCLA, metaphorically. Of course, it's hot, but the hot seat out there, they don't really care as much. They're almost inverse problems where Nebraska, they're in a terrible geographic spot for recruiting, but their fans are insane. They're passionate. They love it. And then you flip the whole script for UCLA where they can walk around the block in Southern California and sign 5 stars. It's just no one out there cares. And I'm not just saying that. I've been out there for a game. I went down to the Rose Bowl for UCLA versus Utah, walking around campus. The kids didn't even know there was a game. I mean, there was no vibe at all. And after seeing programs in schools like Clemson and Penn State and Wisconsin, it was very bizarre, and it was half empty. And so long story short, I don't think that there's much pressure out there on him. With that said, I think this is his best team yet out of 4 years. The 2 issues that really plagued the early Chip Kelly era were quarterback play with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He turned the ball over a ton and took a lot of dumb sacks, that kind of stuff. And secondly was defense. Now in 2020, they fixed both issues. DTR had his best season. He took care of the ball, avoided those drive-killing sacks. And on defense, Kelly brought in Brian Norwood from Navy, who brought in a really blitz-heavy attacking scheme, and they confused their opponents. They were a lot better than that 3-4 record shows. And my game grader formula actually had them in the top 20 when you look at it statistically and all that. So it's a quality team, and we'll see how they fare out in Hawaii. There's no fans in Hawaii at the game. It's 0 crowd, so no home field advantage out there. I guess maybe the time change, but that's about it. So I think UCLA heavy.
Well, and then, of course, week 2, they've got LSU, so that'll be a real measuring stick, 8:30 on Fox. But, Brett, man, appreciate you, buddy. Always great catching up with you, and look forward to talking to you real soon as we get into the meat of the college football schedule. Week 1, Georgia and Clemson. Hopefully we can talk at some point next week, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, Law, man. Enjoy. Best time of year.
No doubt about that. Again, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews. Go check out his magazine. Check out his work. Follow him on Twitter. Do all that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Good stuff. Getting a chance to hear from him. Again, there it is. Subscribe. Let me turn off the ticker and make it real big for you. Boom. Head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe. Oh, man. All right. Double O texted the program today. We'll have to hear what he had to say. We hadn't heard from Double O for a while. I figure he's probably been on some sort of cruise or something. You never know where he's been. That's for sure. Appreciate Brett's Jansen. We got some comments from you all. Anthony. Anthony just couldn't resist. Shows up 45 minutes late for class and shares the show. Punishment, Anthony. We're carrying this one into the break for you. Kyle's also in the house. The Honey King of the Upstate joins the program. All right, hour number 2 coming up here on the show that shakes the Southland. Keep it locked. Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands and around the world. You can listen to the show on the iHeart Radio app. We'll be right back with hour number 2.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic-wise, it's going down on a Wednesday afternoon. Accidents, I-77 southbound, mile marker 17. Hardscrabble Road at Clemson Road. I-26 eastbound, mile marker 97. And we got a vehicle fire. I-20 eastbound, mile marker 72. It's got both sides of the interstate pretty backed up right now. From the 103.5 FM WVOC Traffic Center, I'm Gary Mills with Columbia's most dependable traffic.
This report is sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. Powerball is bringing more ways to win with Double Play. Next time you play Powerball, add Double Play for an extra $1 to give your numbers an additional chance to win up to $10 million. See SCEducationLottery.com for game odds and details.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2073. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today and call 800-575-2073. Or you can visit us online at tra.com.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home to get cash out for college, a renovation, or to pay off debt? The last thing you want to do is pay thousands of dollars in unnecessary closing costs just to access the equity in your home. After all, you have plans for that money. Cap your closing costs with Cap Center, your local South Carolina lender.
We just helped a client who was a professional chef finance the remodeling of his dream kitchen. By avoiding typical closing costs, he had even more money to put towards the premium quality he had hoped for. So the cash out refinance has been a win-win-win for him. We were able to get his rate down. He's using the cash for something he is passionate about, and the money is actually going back into his home.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food. Cha-ching. And $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted. Which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
WCOS Columbia, Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. As they said in the old days, the show that shaketh the Southland. 803-450-0086. CU Tigers win in the house from Germany. Nice. Awesome. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. The YouTube channel is growing fast. Dude, I think we're going to get there. I think we can get to 1,000 by week 6. If you just hit the subscribe and you share some of the stuff, I think it'll grow. I got a sneaky feeling. Maybe it won't. Maybe we've tapped out. But again, thank you to everybody who shares the program, and thank you to everybody who listens to the show on a regular basis. Let's see. Anthony says, Swanee, what's your biggest concern for Clemson in the upcoming matchup? You know, it's interesting because I think it's twofold, Anthony, in a lot of respects. One, I think you and maybe sort of one and the same to a degree. But, you know, Clemson lost a lot. Offensively. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the number 1 overall draft pick for a reason. And again, the guy that I don't want to start this year. Travis Etienne was a first-round pick for a reason. And so there's a mix of things, but two that sort of come together to make me collectively nervous. And that is the matchup between Clemson's offensive line, Georgia's defensive line, and its effect on DJ Uiagalelei. Like if Tyson Pumachan was 100% healthy and you didn't have to worry about that, then yeah, you know what? I wouldn't feel great running Tyson Pumachan out there any more than I felt great running Zarek Cooper out there at any point during his time at Clemson. But because I think there's just a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of with Tyson a lot less opportunity. I don't trust Tyson the way I trust DJ. And DJ still, as you all are very aware, still very much young and inexperienced and new to the game at the collegiate level. But in addition to that offensive line going up against that defensive front, it comes down to, man, what if something happens to DJ? And then at that point, hard to foresee Clemson winning. The other area that concerns me is the running backs. And I think that comes down to the fact that not that you don't have talented players. And it's kind of ironic because it almost feels like everybody that you have there now is more well-known or was more well-known, except for maybe Lynn J. Dixon, was more well-known at this point in their career, maybe even if you rewind back to when they were freshmen, than Travis Etienne was. Like, Etienne was this one-off. Etienne was this, just this other guy that I don't think a lot of people thought would, maybe he'd have a good career. Did you think he'd be better than Wayne Gallman? Did you think he'd be better than Andre Ellington? James Davis? CJ Spiller possibly, especially if you just talk about running back. Then, I mean, if you talk about running back, he's got to be in your conversation about the greatest running back in Clemson history. With his numbers, he may have to be in the consideration of one of the best running backs in the ACC's history. But I know people were excited about Kobe Pace when he came in, Kobe Pryor back then. I know that Tiger fans are super excited about Will Shipley and Phil Maffa. And even Lynn J. Lynn J didn't, I mean, I would say Lynn J jumped off the page, but I remember thinking, man, Clemson's got him like what I would have kind of labeled a scat back, kind of a Mike Bellamy type. Get the ball, get out of the way, let him hit the jets on somebody. And to me, all three of those positions sort of run hand in hand. And so it may all come down to that offensive line, the health of DJ, how successful the running backs are. I mean, all of that. And I know you guys have been bringing up the offensive line quite a bit. And obviously, Matt Bockhorst spoke yesterday. We'll hear some of Matt Bockhorst's audio coming up here in a little bit, a little later in the program in hour number 2. But truth be told, that offensive line is probably going to face the best defensive front they'll see in the regular season in the opener. So, like, I think like a lot of you find yourself concerned with the fact that your quarterback, DJ Uyunglele, isn't an overly experienced guy, but I mean, your offensive line couldn't move the line of scrimmage a year ago. And if they struggled this season, it could be I'm not going to say it could be a long year. It could be a long year for DJ, though. I mean, you look what happened. Look how Trevor looks without an offensive line. Now, I would certainly expect Clemson's offensive line to look better than what Jacksonville is running out there right now, or at least, and it's kind of comparing apples to oranges, obviously, but because of the level these guys are playing. I mean, every one of those dudes is a pro, and they would certainly start at Clemson. I'm not trying to say that. It's just kind of the nature of the beast with the collegiate game versus the professional game. And I think that would be my big concern. I think that would be the big concern. Esley says, I hope DJ's practicing throwing the ball softer. That's a reference back to what was that late last week or 2 weeks ago? The comments that who put those out, Esley? Was that Cowherd? Was that Colin that said that? Who said that about him? I'll be honest with you. All the articles, all the audio, everything's sort of blending together for me on that front. But yeah, it was like talking about what DJ does poorly or criticism. Blah blah. I tell you, he just throws the ball so hard. He's a hard thrower. Thanks. It was Cowherd. It was Cowherd. Good. Look at there. Lowell, the producer. The producer extraordinaire says, in his opinion, the biggest concern for both teams is the offensive line. Both defensive fronts are monstrous. They are, and it would appear that Clemson's is getting healthier, right? I mean, you got Justin Foster coming back. We heard from him yesterday. We'll save some of Foster's audio for tomorrow. By the way, Clemson has no availability today, availability tomorrow up in Tiger Town. The last availability of the week before game week. But, you got Justin Foster coming back after sort of retiring for a little while, dealing with the COVID-19 issues, to coming back. You've got Xavier Thomas, who dealt with COVID issues and strep throat and just never looked like himself, coming back, streamlining his body and getting ready for the season, in addition to just two mammoth guys in Tyler Davis and Brian Brazil on the interior, KJ Henry, Miles Murphy, Trey Williams, DeMonte Capehart when he's healthy. Man, it must be it must be so much fun. So much fun to be Todd Bates and those guys and be able to, watch those dudes, and they are some dudes, go to work. And they've been compared quite a bit. To that 2018 squad. And, they've just all sort of sloughed it off and said, look, man, we're just trying to be the best us that we can be. We're not trying to be the Power Rangers 2.0. We're just trying to be the best us that we can be. And I think that that's the right mindset to have, because then no matter how many times somebody tries to compare you or how many times maybe your numbers don't stack up, you're like, look, that's not who we are. We're a different group. We're facing different teams. It's a different, it's a totally different ball of wax. Totally different ball of wax. 803-450-0086. Anthony also wants to know, or was Anthony? Yeah, who's my breakout player for Clemson next weekend against Georgia? Like who do I think comes out? Okay, let me get clarifying question. Who do I think has a big performance, or who do I think on Sunday and Monday after Clemson's matchup with Georgia people are talking about? Because those are two different things. Double O checking out the program today. He says, Swanee, I got an orange Ferrari. I park it in my front yard. Well, listen, man, Trevor Lawrence is like that Ferrari. Don't put it in the danger zone. He says Trevor's got no O-line and no D. Yeah, that's the other thing. I was watching a couple of those passes that Jameis Winston threw over the top and the defensive back play. And I thought, man, Trevor's probably picking those dudes apart at practice. Probably looks like $1 million at practice. The biggest performance for Clemson this coming weekend against Georgia. Whew. I'm gonna take DJ out of it. I mean, that's just the easy pick. He gets the ball in his hands every snap and has the opportunity to make more plays than most. So who's gonna make who's gonna have the biggest impact on the game from Clemson's side? In my head, I want to go Justin Ross. Like I want to believe in like this breakout story, this comeback kid. Like I want to follow those storylines because I like a good drama. Yeah, just seeing him have a two touchdown performance or something and help lead Clemson to the victory, and just go, man, glad he's back. But if I take DJ out of it, it really does get difficult because I don't think it's going to be the tight ends. As talented as I think Braden Galloway is, Clemson's going to have to convince Swanee. They're going to have to convince Uncle Swanee that the tight end position is going to be a valuable asset. So if I had to go in on it, I don't trust the running backs because I don't really trust Clemson's offensive line at this point. Want to see how they handle Georgia. If they were to go out there and just kind of dominate the line of scrimmage against Georgia, and you were asking this question the following week, I might say, well, it looks like we're having a big running day on the ground. Gonna be a good day for Will Shipley or whoever you want to pick. But I'm gonna go Justin Ross. I'm gonna assume that there's going to be just this little bit of trust, a little extra trust that DJ will have with him. Possibly because of his experience and because he's playing in the slot. He might be a guy that Ross can hit pretty quickly. And he's got some wiggle. Kind of reminds you a little bit with the ball in his hands of a Derek Hamilton. Remember they used to call Derek Noodle? Kind of got a little noodle to him. Remember the The play he had, I think maybe against SC State at one point in his career, where he hit the brakes once, hit the brakes twice, and then went to the end zone. Tiger Chuck chimes in. He says, "Why? It's going to be Ross." He says, "We'll be pass heavy, and they can't cover him. Defensively, look for the ends to have a good day." He said, "Also, I think you'll see Landon Sanders have a good tackling day. He should get the opportunity because the safeties will be coming downhill this game." There you go. Tiger Chuck agrees on the Justin Ross thing. And again, I think part of it's comfort. Part of it's his return. Part of it's where he's now going to be playing in that slot, which I think gives him an advantage on the athleticism front. But, the other side of what you got to keep your eye on, I think, with this offense is who else emerges from this group of wideouts. E.J. Williams was coming on pretty strong last season. And you were kind of waiting on Frank Ladson and Joe Ngata, and Ngata's still banged up. Then you got a couple of young guys that you hear mixed in here and there with the, Dakari and Bo Collins. And I love their length. I mean, I think that's a huge deal at the collegiate game, just being able to go up over the top. I mean, if you look at the successful wideouts recently for Clemson, I mean, it's really been those bigger wide receivers that have done so well. And you guys are pointing fingers at me and going, what about Hunter Renfrow, Swanee? What about Sammy Watkins? And those are two solid names. Heck, I'll one up you Amari Rodgers, but I don't know how big Amari Rodgers' numbers are a year ago, or Cornell Powell for that matter, if Justin Ross is out there. But I do think that you've seen sort of that trend for Clemson with the Mike Williams of the world, with the T. Higgins of the world, with that 6'4", 6'5" frame that we're beginning to see more and more of, the Justin Rosses of the world, having some of that length to go up and go get it and create a mismatch, not just with the vertical space on the field. Like Martavis Bryant was absurd with that. Like, he's so fast, like maybe the fastest guy on the team, and yet still just this huge target that could really, real high riser. Sort of like got that vertical like a basketball player. But that'll be, I'm telling you, that I think that's where you got to lean in, because you just got to think that Georgia and Clemson, both of those defensive fronts, are going to cause a lot of havoc, and it's going to be tough to run the football. So it ends up being a game where you're throwing it a good bit, and Ross has, I think, an advantage at the slot. Now, if Ross ends up having to move out, to the boundary or something, if he has to play outside, then maybe all bets are off. Then I think it's probably wide open. Now, on defense, Lowell says, how about Trenton Simpson? Oh, I was thinking about Trenton Simpson yesterday, maybe. Day before yesterday, one of those 2 days. Day after yesterday's today. I don't think I was thinking about him today, but just kind of, his speed and explosiveness and the way Clemson managed to use Isaiah Simmons. I think he is as close to Isaiah Simmons as we have had. And I'm excited for him because Mike Jones Jr. leaving, to me, just if you say that, if you told me that he's going to play 28 snaps a game, however many, maybe it's more than that, maybe it's 35 snaps a game. A year ago with Mike Jones Jr., whatever it ended up being, I mean, I think that number almost doubles. I think if the offense runs 90 plays, he might play in 65, 70 of them. maybe more. But Mike Jones Jr. was eating a lot of opportunity there. And I believe he's better than Mike Jones Jr. We'll hit a quick break here on the show that shakes the Southland on a Wednesday afternoon.
Now your chance to win $1,000 and a trip to our iHeartRadio Music Festival. Text the nationwide keyword Vegas to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's Vegas to 200-200. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Traffic backed up I-26 eastbound mile marker 93 because of an accident with injury. So that's going to take a few minutes to get cleaned up. From the 103.5 FM WVOC Traffic Center, I'm Gary Mills with Columbia's most dependable traffic.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. Don't stay up late to binge that show. Sleep early to get a Taco Bell toasted breakfast burrito. This is your warning. You can't get one if you sleep in tomorrow morning. Toasted breakfast burritos. Available at a participating Taco Bell location near you during breakfast hours only, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2073. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today and call 800-575-2073. Or you can visit us online at tra.com.
By popular demand, Great Southern Homes now lists their coming soon communities online. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your pick of choice lots, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to put the wow in your new home with options and upgrades. Live green, live smart in your new green smart home. Show your style and personalize your new home with options and upgrades from Great Southern Homes. Find your dream home today, greatsouthernhomes.com.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place, just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving supports victims of drunk driving, drug driving, and underage drinking at no charge. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
It's time to pull for cures. Curing Kids Cancer's 8th fire truck pull will be held virtually at curingkidscancer.org August 26th through the 28th. Teams of 10 will see who can virtually pull a fire truck the furthest, with all proceeds benefiting the Gamecocks Curing Kids Cancer $1.2 million endowment to the Children's Center for Cancer and Blood Disorders Clinic at Prisma Health Children's Hospital, Midlands. To donate and support your favorite team, visit curingkidscancer.org anytime August the 26th through the 28th.
We need you to help the Federation Center of the Blind continue its life-changing mission of opening more doors to blind South Carolinians. Please call us at 803-254-3777 or email nfbsc@sc.rr.com to see how you can volunteer or make a donation.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Again, we are closing in on the kickoff of the Clemson-Georgia game. Incredible, man. The summer. I always joke that it goes by fast. It really does. It really does. And this is going to be just a monumental matchup. And I think it's interesting because there are people out there that believe that if Clemson loses this game, they don't have a chance to get into the college football playoff. I tend to disagree with that. And it's something that I haven't loved for a long time about college football and the way it's set up. But if you start at or near the top and have any amount of success, and especially if you start at or near the top and you go through the season with a huge winning streak after dropping your opener and then win your conference championship, you're probably getting into the college football playoff just in the way it's set up.
Well, sir, while I may not agree with what you say, I'll defend to the death your right to say it.
Well, thank you. That's kind of my thing, is that this game to me doesn't feel like for Clemson that if you lose it, oh man, you're done. And it probably shouldn't feel that way for Georgia either, except for the fact that I think everybody recognizes the difference in when Clemson, if they were to lose, goes through the ACC and gets to the ACC championship game, even if it is North Carolina, even if it is Miami, whoever you put in that game is not Alabama. And the belief that Alabama is going to be in the college football playoff potentially opens up the conversation of, well, if Georgia loses to Clemson, and heck, maybe even if they beat Clemson, very hard to imagine that they get by the Crimson Tide. And so, while I think that, a lot of people out there in Athens, Georgia, and the Classic City and around the state of Georgia believe that the Bulldogs can beat Alabama, I tend to say, man, you got to prove it. You got to prove it. And a couple of times now they've choked it down against the Crimson Tide. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. But I did see tail of a suggestion that Alabama might actually fall this year to Texas A&M, sort of a rising tide, pun intended, perhaps, out in College Station. I know our buddies over at Texags.com have been just elated with the way last season ended for the Aggies. There is a ton of support financially and whatever you want to call it, in person, whatever the terminology would be for that, just the numbers of people in that state, in that area, that are beginning to believe in what Jimbo Fisher's been building. But that might be for Georgia the one little caveat to how you open this thing up for them to slide in would be if somehow it's not Alabama waiting in the SEC championship game. Because that, to me, is the big hiccup in Georgia's way. I mean, yes, Clemson out of the gates, win or lose, it's still hard to imagine going undefeated the rest of the way and losing in a conference championship game to Alabama and getting into the playoffs. But it happened a year ago. It happened a year ago for Notre Dame. The difference being the Fighting Irish and Tigers had split their series. And so that's the other issue here at hand when you think about how this could all play out for the Georgia Bulldogs, is simply the fact that because you don't get that split scenario available to you, that argument after you lose to the Crimson Tide might be a little bit more difficult, even if you didn't lose anything else along the way. I'm not saying it's right that Notre Dame lost in the ACC championship game to Clemson and got in, and Georgia potentially could lose this year and be left out. But the scenario that, could be presented is one of Ohio State being there as a conference champ and Clemson being there as a conference champ and Alabama being there as a conference champ and maybe Oklahoma. Now, the one argument that Georgia fans would be yelling at that point is one that makes a lot of sense. They say, hey, we beat the ACC champ. And maybe that's enough. But I don't know. When you lose that late, it is hard to imagine. And I think one of the only reasons that that Notre Dame managed to pull it off was because they had already beaten Clemson. In fairness to Georgia, in this scenario, you have beaten Clemson. I get it. But I don't know if in the mind's eye of the College Football Playoff Committee, if that were to be the case, and Clemson's on this huge streak and looking good, that they'd be willing to take a non-conference champion. And, mind you, last year was a COVID-19 season where some of these teams had played many fewer games. I mean, it's just a weird year. I mean, if we get down to the end this year and pretty much everybody's played 12 games or 13 coming out of their conference championships, I don't know. I don't know if or how Georgia would be handled if they lose to Alabama, or even more so if the Crimson Tide were to just really get a hold of them and put a little something turpentine can't take off on them. 803-450-0086. All right, when we come back, we mentioned Clemson's offensive line. We'll hear from Matt Bockhorst as the Tigers got off the practice fields yesterday afternoon. That update right after this.
Our 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival, September 17th and 18th.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
Streaming free on the CW app and CWTV.com. Listen every weekday to win your way there and win $1,000.
An all-new season of the hit series Stargirl is here. See why critics call Stargirl witty, fast-paced, and a joy to watch. Tune into the CW Tuesdays or stream free the next day. Only on the CW app.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. This spring, you can share your own observations about nature with scientists and play a critical role in scientific discovery by adding to their data collection. Discover more about citizen science programs such as monitoring weather, observing plants and animals, and more. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
Way back when, Colombia was a vast dining desert, a wasteland for fast, fresh, authentic Southwestern food. Weren't nothing bundled up nice and warm in a tortilla. Colombia needed Diablos. Southwestern the way you want it, the real deal, with no shortcuts in quality and served up as fast and fresh as you want it. Diablo Southwest Grill. Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. DiabloSouthwestGrill.com.
Now your chance to win $1,000 and a trip to our iHeartRadio Music Festival. Text the nationwide keyword Vegas to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in the nationwide contest. That's Vegas to 200-200.
This is Chris Collinsworth. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings. Great news out of Indy. Carson Wentz is back. The former number 2 overall pick returned to practice after missing some time during training camp as he recovered from foot surgery. Originally, he was expected to be sidelined between 5 and 12 weeks. and now Wentz says he expects to play week 1 of the regular season against the Seahawks. The Colts would love to have him back under center against Seattle. They think this team is Super Bowl ready. And I'm Chris Collinsworth. Download the DraftKings app and use code SPORTS to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
I'm Tamara Pridgett.
And I'm Adrienne Herbert. And we're co-hosts of Sweat the Details, a collaboration from Under Armour and iHeartRadio.
It's a brand new podcast by women, for women, here to shake up the conversation about women in sport and fitness.
iHeartRadio is #1 for podcasts, but don't take our word for it. Find Sweat the Details on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Broadcasting from the TrueCar.com studios. This is Columbia's Fox Sports Radio 1400.
It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on a Wednesday afternoon. Again, thank you to Brett Cianci of Pick Six Previews for joining us a little bit earlier here on the program. And as always, excited to let you hear a little bit of what's been going on up in Tiger Town. And again, you know, you take a look at Clemson's offensive line, and I kind of brought these guys up as an issue, at least maybe my biggest issue coming into this season. And here's some of what those guys got into up in Tiger Town yesterday as Matt Bockhorst came off the field to, you know, share some of his thoughts on how things are going for Clemson as they get ready for, I don't know anybody would argue, the toughest challenge that they're going to face this season. Here's some of Matt Bockhorst yesterday up at Clemson.
Just you know, some of the leaders on the offense just wanted to kind of bring the guys together and you know, just kind of take a collective deep breath. We got through the tough part of camp and really just feeling encouraged about where we are as an offense. I think the past 2 days in particular have been very good. So just kind of taking a minute to encourage young guys and some of the young guys that are stepping into big roles, you know, scout team or whatever it is. So just kind of transitioning here into the regular season and what all that entails and what commitment that's going to take. Who else spoke?
So essentially, you know, what Bockhorst was getting into there or talking about was the fact that, you know, some of those upperclassmen gathered them around after practice, just kind of took those young guys to church a little bit, talked about the expectations around the team and the program, and, you know, just it's being a leader, really, just being a leader. Now, as far as the center position goes, Matt Bockhorst might be the guy. More on that coming up tomorrow on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. But which I'm a little bit surprised that this has been the kind of the reigning development, but it's where we are. Here's what Matt Bockhorst had to say about that group up front and how they're doing things in terms of splitting time and opportunities.
Yeah, so we're all getting reps. We're splitting reps. I haven't taken reps at center, which is definitely challenging. It's been an adjustment. I think that has been really good. I'm really getting comfortable, and when I'm getting those reps, I feel pretty good. Been getting more and more consistent with my snaps. Obviously, that's the big thing. So just kind of continually getting better, and that's what you want. But everyone's kind of taking reps, and also just guys getting in different positions.
So, again, just working that offensive line. And Dabo Swinney said, I think it was last Thursday after Clemson's final scrimmage, Dabo Swinney said, look, their goal is to get the best 5 guys out there. And I don't think Dabo Swinney cares what order it's in. I mean, if it's got to be Mo, Larry, Curley, Shemp, Curly Joe and Joe, then he's fine with that. But if it's got to be Joe, Curly Joe, Shemp, Mo, and Larry, he'll go that way too. Now, if you replay that and you're wondering if I was able to do the 5 or however many Stooges there were, 3, 5, 6, whatever the number ended up being at the end, in order backwards and forwards there, I did not. I messed up Larry and Mo on that last time through. I should have reversed that order. I didn't. Yeah, I know. Should have got that right.
I'll knock your brains out if you had any.
Fair point. 803-450-0086. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Let's see. Vince chimes into the program. He says, I feel they want to get their tight ends involved more in the passing game. The personnel groupings allows them more options in the run and passing game. 11 personnel groupings will all allow DJ to run. And Vince kind of jumping off of, what you're talking about and getting away a little bit from Matt Bockhorst, partially because I didn't want to play too much of Matt, but the audio quality was not spectacular on that, obviously. But a lot of background noise, guys working out. Maybe even a jugs machine. I don't know if I heard the jugs machine there or not. But I don't know, Vince, how willing they're going to be to run DJ. And that is something that we've kind of talked about here on the program a good bit. And I do think that this offense could feel very much influenced by Taj Boyd and the way it looked when Taj Boyd was there, especially with Boyd back around the program. But maybe most specifically, I think that the way DJ sort of looks in the offense reminds me more of Boyd than any other quarterback we've had in recent years. But are you willing to let him lay it out there on the line? I mean, last year he was already a little bit banged up, and they didn't want to release the hounds, if you will, going on a fox hunt. They didn't want to release the hounds. So they kind of kept him back, wanted him in the pocket, and tried to protect him. Well, now with your backup situation, do you really want him? Do you really want to put him out there in harm's way? I mean, I think it's a legit question, Vince. I don't know if I would. Eight 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Esley thinks Alabama might lose 2 games this season, and I would say that's probably, if that's your belief, and I'm not saying it can't happen, but if that's your belief, I'm thinking a part of that is believing that Bryce Young is susceptible to turnovers, one, right? I mean, that's something that I think is hard to quantify and to calculate and to really get an idea of what a guy's going to look like throughout the season until they get the ball in their hand and it's live game action. And if he turns the football over, then it's quite possible that they could lose 2 games. I just don't know what 2 it would be. I mean, A&M's I would say the most likely subject to beat them. I don't think Arkansas. I don't really buy Florida. If they lose 2 games, Esley, I think it's going to be tough. I'm gonna struggle to find 2 games. I mean, Bryce Young would have to make a lot of mistakes for me. Maybe LSU. Maybe Lowell's calling for the shootout with Ole Miss. Lowell likes him some Lane Kiffin. Lowell also likes some Jeff Collins. Just don't tell him I said so. Final segment next.
Nielsen says more than 30 million Americans are now tuning into Newsmax TV. It's one of the biggest media stories. Newsmax is available on all major cable systems. And if you cut the cord and don't get cable, you can still get Newsmax. Find it on your smart TVs like Samsung, LG, and more. Just go to your smart TV channel guide or download the free Newsmax app. Newsmax also streams free on Roku, Xumo, Pluto, Amazon Fire, or TiVo. And 7 million people have the Newsmax app on their smartphone. It takes seconds to download it to your phone, and there's no paywall or subscription. So watch Newsmax for breaking news anytime, anywhere. Forbes described Newsmax as a news powerhouse. Find out why tens of millions of Americans are watching Newsmax TV and going to Newsmax.com for breaking news. It's a source you can trust. Newsmax is real news for real people.
Lawton Swan here, and I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating, 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place, just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Live music is back at our 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Listen every weekday to win your way to this ultimate once-in-a-lifetime experience and win $1,000.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on the Wednesday. Again, thank you to Britt Ciancia for being a part of the program. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're watching the show today, and we're really trying to grow that YouTube channel immensely. We got a goal, man. Can we get to 1,000? Can we get to 1,000 before the 6th game of the season? Heck, I'll challenge you now. Can we get to 500? 500 before kickoff of the Clemson-Georgia game is reasonable if everybody tuning in right now just hits that subscribe. You go ahead and punch that little button. Go ahead and do it. Do it yet? Hit that subscribe. Because who knows what we'll do, man, after the college football season gets rolling. Maybe we'll go live. We're live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Look, have we heard anything about the game day picker yet? Who's it going to be? I mean, I know they got game day this week at Jacksonville State or whatever with Deion Sanders. I did see that somewhere scrolling through my social media for him. Oh, sorry, Coach Sanders. Can't call him Deion. Can't call him Deion. Where is he? Jackson State? Yeah, not Jacksonville. Jackson State. Deion Sanders going to be, I guess they're going to be there this week, but has anybody heard? I mean, if I said to you, listen up, team. You get to make the pick. You get to be able to decide who is the game day picker for Clemson and Georgia in Charlotte. Who is it? If it is not the Nature Boy,
and I'm saying, woo, right here,
then I don't know who you pick. Because Nature Boy is iconic when it comes to Charlotte. He is iconic in the South. I mean, the Charlotte, North Carolina area, the Atlanta area for wrestling in the old Crockett era is perfect. His daughter went to Georgia. I can't think of anybody better. Could you give me a better selection to be the game day picker than the Nature Boy Ric Flair? I also heard, speaking of game day, Lee Corso expected to be back on set this year for College Game Day. Yeah, it's funny because I'm reading Kirk Herbstreit's book right now, out of the pocket, and I've said for years I believe Kirk Herbstreit is the only thing that has kept Lee Corso on that show, and I don't mean like Lee Corso just can't leave because of Kirk Herbstreit. I think Kirk Herbstreit would probably leave if they didn't bring back Lee Corso. But it's funny because I think you get to a point with people in a relationship, and I don't mean like personal relationship. I mean like a television relationship where there was probably 10 years ago when Corso's out there, I'm like, God, you got to get rid of this guy. He's messing everything up. You know, it's not great. And then, of course, in whatever year he has his stroke, and then he comes back, and then all of a sudden it's just like your granddad's there, and you can't just push him off. You can't just let him go. He's got to go out on his own accord now. He crossed over from where you could rightfully stand out there and go, fire Lee Corso, he's terrible, to now if you say that, you look like a jerk. So now you got to be like, man, you know what? I sure hope Corso rides this thing out as long as he can. And and he's still now, I mean, I would make the argument he's endeared himself to me more and more now that he's older. And I see and is more obvious of the issues that he has with his memory and things of that nature. And you just want to support him, right? You want to put your arms around him and say, man, thank you for all the awesome memories you gave me. And that's where I think Kirk is. Like, Kirk knows it's not great, but they will carry him through a segment if they have to. That's like you guys, right? The segment stinks. You carry me. That's what great listeners do. But Don't ever, Gamecock Nation, peeking over the fence, hanging out with us today.
So you can continue to peek over the fence at the best radio show in the nation.
The late, great Cleveland man with that dime. Gamecock Nation, never let it be said that Swanee did not and has not stood up for years on the belief that Steve Spurrier should be the next guy on that game day set, and he should pick a visor of the team that he thinks is going to win the game. 2 visors out, just like a high school recruit. Spurrier, visor on, boom. Done deal. It writes itself. Never let it be said that Swanee did not make that suggestion. Possibly first, to be honest with you. Incredibly, 2 hours are in the books. Looking forward to being back with you here tomorrow. Got a special guest coming up on tomorrow's program. And again, don't forget to hit subscribe right now on the YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, if you're watching YouTube, guess what's right here to the left and right as we speak? Yeah, 2 other great videos for you to watch. So go ahead, pick one. You want to watch that one? Pick it. Or this one? Go ahead. It's your pick. We got to get out of here, though. Until tomorrow, as always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports.